A spiritual medium has already warned you about what's coming. And believe me, it's not just anything. The darkness they sowed will return with force. And this time, there will be no escape. They will face judgment. And you? You are going to experience the greatest victory of your life. Right now, there are heavy, toxic energies, even death energy, being thrown at you nonstop. But your spiritual guides are not standing idly by. They are clearing your path, removing every obstacle that was put in your way. 2 women, full of envy and poison, have been pulling strings against you. One of them doesn't just speak badly about you. She tries to insert herself where she doesn't belong, competing for something that will never be hers. Your romantic relationship. They want to isolate you, destroy your peace, make you feel alone. But their plans are about to collapse, because divine judgment has already fallen on those 2 dark souls. Universal justice is on your side. Get ready, because something big is coming. A blessing that will shake your life. The medium already said it. You are not to be played with, because you are a child of God. And all that evil they wished upon you, it's going to return to them doubled. The victory is yours. The blessing is already on its way. Listen carefully. Your enemies will have no choice but to either join you or disappear from your path. Claim what is yours. Write in the comments, "I claim my blessing." There is a woman in your life who has a habit of dyeing her hair different colors. Not long ago, she was laughing at you. Maybe you noticed it, or maybe not. But the truth is, something is going on with her and everything around her. And today, we're going to talk about that. You know what? This woman isn't as far removed from your life as it might seem. Maybe you thought there wasn't much of a connection between you 2, but the reality is, there's something much deeper tying her to you. It could be unresolved feelings, or even a third person who's at the center of this whole mess. What I feel is that she has already been close to someone important to you. Someone in your close circle, or someone you've valued greatly in your life. I can see her clearly now. And what I'm receiving is that she's not only near you, but has also been talking about you with another woman. They were gossiping and making cruel remarks behind your back, mocking, criticizing everything you've lived through, everything you are, and everything you've achieved. But what they don't know, or rather what they can't imagine, is that things aren't what they think. This woman, the one who believes she's already won, who's convinced she's going to keep the person you once wanted, she's blinded by her own arrogance. She mocks you and thinks that in the end you'll be alone without a partner, without support. But let me tell you something. What she's living right now is not going to last. What she thinks she holds in her hands is as unstable as a house of cards. You know what they say. He who laughs last, laughs best. And, believe me, this time, you will be the one laughing in the end. Don't worry. This woman is in for a big surprise in the near future. What she believes is her great victory will become a massive betrayal or a deep disappointment that will leave her speechless. What's about to happen in her life will completely change her perspective and her path. Everything she thought was certain will crumble before her eyes, and that will be the moment you realize things are not always what they seem. Now, going back to this woman, the one who laughs at you and belittles you, I've seen her image clearly. She has darker skin, and something tells me her initial could match that of your 5th contact. Someone who plays a significant role in your life, even if you don't realize it yet. The truth is, she and the other woman I mentioned weren't just talking behind your back. They were making cruel, spiteful remarks about your life, your very being, and all you've achieved. In those mocking, gossip-filled conversations, one of them said something that will truly surprise you. She secretly read your cards. Yes, it's hard to believe, but the same woman who laughed at you, harshly judged you, and thought she had already put you down, couldn't resist the urge to uncover more about your life. She was curious, drawn by the need to see if you really had everything people said you did, if you were truly as protected and fortunate as everyone believed. What unsettled her the most was what she found in that card reading. When she saw what the cards revealed about you, she was completely surprised. She didn't expect your energy to be so powerful, so full of light and positivity. In fact, she thought she would find signs that things were going badly for you, or maybe that you were going through a tough phase in your life. But that wasn't the case. On the contrary, the cards showed something completely different. She saw that despite everything people have wished against you, you keep moving forward, growing, and advancing. You are surrounded by such a strong and bright energy that very few people have the privilege to experience. She thought she would find some sign of weakness or defeat in the cards, some clue that you were about to fall, but she was greatly surprised to see that everything the cards reflected was the opposite. What she saw was that destiny has something much better prepared for you, something she can't even imagine. And you know what? That left her very unsettled. Instead of giving her the peace or reassurance she expected by learning more about your life, it left her with a strange feeling, as if she had touched something she wasn't supposed to. Because while she spoke badly of you, while she criticized you, something inside her was warning her. She felt an inexplicable fear, a kind of intuition that she shouldn't underestimate you, that things aren't always what she thinks they are, that she can't keep believing everything is lost for you. What she saw in the cards not only changed her view of you, but also showed her that the person she's with now, the person she thought would stay with her forever, actually doesn't belong to her. That relationship she thought was secure doesn't have a solid foundation. It's more unstable than she imagined. The cards revealed that her happiness, which she thought she had achieved, is based on something that sooner or later will crumble. What now seems like a victory for her will soon become a disappointment. What this woman doesn't know is that no matter how much she laughed at you, no matter how much gossip she spread about you, inside her there's a growing unease, a worry that won't let her be calm. Even if she shows mockery and disdain on her face, inside she's full of doubts and fears. She knows that not everything is as it seems, and in the end, paths don't always cross the way one expects. So, calm your heart, because time has a way of putting things in their place. What now seems like humiliation or defeat for you is actually marking the beginning of something much better. This woman will get a big surprise, and you, on the other hand, will be much better off than she ever imagined. When she looked at your destiny, she realized something she didn't expect. Something that left her with the feeling that the story between you and her isn't over yet. Maybe she thought you were already behind her, that it was all finished, but something inside told her she was wrong. She couldn't ignore the fact that in your path, in your life, there's something huge, something that will change everything. And the worst part for her, the most shocking, was realizing that what she tried to take from you was never really hers. No matter how much she tried, no matter how much she fought for what she thought was hers, the truth is, it didn't belong to her, and she knew it deep down. You might start noticing some changes around you soon. Don't be surprised if she suddenly shows up in your life, begins sending you messages, or if her attitude toward you shifts. It might feel a little strange, like she's suddenly more interested or closer to you than before. But this isn't just a coincidence, and it's not something to take lightly. When someone fears you but can't stop thinking about you, it's only a matter of time before they try to get close, even if it's in subtle or indirect ways, as if they're drawn to you despite themselves. The fear they feel doesn't just vanish. The more they try to push it away, the stronger it pulls them back. It's not easy for them to handle, but they're trying. Even if it's not obvious at first, they will get closer. They will reveal themselves in some way. What's truly fascinating is that what this woman discovered about you has completely captivated her. What's coming your way, what's about to unfold in your life, is so immense and powerful that she can't stop thinking about it. She can't wrap her mind around how someone like you could be destined for such success. Something far greater than she ever dreamed for herself. During one of those conversations about you, someone close to her, someone who had also looked at you with disdain, confessed something that shocked the others even more. This person admitted they had gone to see a witch, asking her to read the cards to learn more about you, to uncover the mystery behind that powerful energy that surrounds you. What the witch revealed left her completely stunned, almost terrified, because what she heard wasn't what she expected. After the reading, the witch said that you are someone very dangerous, but not in the way she thought. You aren't dangerous because you harm others, not because of your actions or words, but because you have something many don't understand, something that can't be easily explained. You have a guardian angel, and that angel isn't just anything. It is powerful, protecting you from bad energies, from the ill intentions others might have toward you. That being, that invisible guardian, makes it so you can't be touched. It makes bad vibes bounce away from you. When the witch started the reading, she noticed something very unusual, something she didn't see every day, a spiritual barrier, like an invisible layer surrounding you that prevents any negative energy from reaching you. This surprised her a lot because, according to the witch, it's not something often seen. In fact, she said it was extremely rare, and that not everyone has this kind of protection. The witch explained that you have a unique destiny, something not everyone achieves, a light within you that many desire but few understand. That light you emanate not only makes you special, it makes you almost unstoppable. And it's that light that attracts people who try to take advantage of you, but also makes them retreat, makes them feel fear. People who want to harm you, who look at you with envy or resentment, feel small compared to what you are. They feel so small compared to what you have that they can't even approach without fearing the strength of that energy that surrounds you. The most incredible thing, what the woman who criticized you never imagined, is that the witch warned her that anyone who tries to harm you, whether through bad actions, manipulations, or even witchcraft, will face a punishment much stronger than they imagine. The witch told her she had seen this pattern many times before, had observed it in people with divine protection as powerful as yours, and explained that when someone like you has the protection of such a strong angel, any harm they try to send backfires with twice the intensity. It's not a game. It's not something you can take lightly. It's a universal law that always applies when there is a pure and powerful energy like yours in someone's path. This left the woman completely terrified, who thought she was in control of everything, who thought she had the advantage. After hearing what the witch told her, she began to doubt. She thought she could manipulate the situation, keep going without consequences. But now, hearing that there are much greater forces working in your favor, forces she cannot understand or control, she began to feel small and vulnerable. This revelation changed everything for her. The confidence with which she had acted before started to crumble. She knew she had done bad things, tried to take from you what didn't belong to her. But she never imagined that facing those actions would bring something much bigger than she had planned. What if what the witch told her was true? What if, somehow, you really are invulnerable to them? The idea of the bad energies that surround us, though incredible, kept circling in her mind. The worst part was that the more she thought about it, the more doubt crept in. Instead of feeling calm and confident about what she had heard, alarms started ringing inside her. Her usual sense of reason, the steady guide she relied on, began to falter. Deep down, she started to suspect that everything she had done so far, every little move, every harsh word against you, hadn't just put her in an uncomfortable position, but could actually ruin her life in ways she never imagined. From that moment on, she became more aware of the subtle signs she had overlooked before. Small cracks that made her wonder if the relationship she cherished so much with that special person, someone you barely knew, was on the verge of collapse. But it wasn't just that. Every time she crossed paths with you, an inexplicable pressure weighed on her, as if a dark cloud was stalking her, ready to burst at any moment. Her attitude changed radically after that. Though she tried to act as if nothing inside her was affected, she could no longer ignore the witch's words. That tiny seed of doubt had taken root and spread, casting a shadow she couldn't shake off. Even as she wore a mask of indifference, the truth was, she couldn't stop thinking about what the witch had said, the energies surrounding you. What once seemed like a joke or an empty threat had grown into a reality she struggled to accept, but couldn't deny. Every encounter with you brought that silent fear closer to the surface. What's curious is that since that conversation with the witch, things began to change so subtly she barely noticed at first. But soon, the small issues that once seemed trivial started to multiply. Distance grew, unnecessary arguments erupted, warm and loving looks turned cold and suspicious. The atmosphere of her life began to crumble, and the protective force around you that once seemed intangible now felt more real and impenetrable than ever. At first, she didn't understand what was happening. But gradually, she realized that the energies protecting you were becoming something much bigger than she had imagined. That barrier she felt was no longer just a thought. It was a tangible wall she couldn't cross, keeping her at a distance. And as you can imagine, none of this was coincidence. Nothing random was unfolding. Everything had a purpose. Despite her attempts to ignore the signs, they were shouting at her. Something in her life was falling apart. Something inside told her she had crossed a line, that her actions were backfiring, and not in the way she hoped. What had once seemed like a simple desire for control, something to make her feel powerful and superior, had twisted into something else entirely. Fear. Fear of the consequences she might face if she didn't stop meddling in your life, if she didn't walk away from the dark path she was on. The confidence and superiority she once held so tightly had vanished, replaced by growing insecurity and anxiety. What she'd thought was a game of power and control no longer felt safe or certain. As the consequences of her actions began to unfold, she realized that what she thought was an advantage was actually turning against her. She felt trapped, caught in a labyrinth of her own making, with no clear way out. And worst of all, deep down she knew her actions were irreversible. While she played with forces she barely understood, something far greater and more powerful than either of them, something even the witch hadn't foreseen, was taking shape. The no. Truth is, the one now filled with worry wasn't you, but her. And that worry wasn't just because things weren't going her way, but because she sensed something far bigger than herself was about to teach her a lesson. When someone is surrounded by energies as pure and powerful as yours, fate has its own way of ensuring everyone gets what they deserve. And though she didn't fully grasp it yet, fate was already in motion. It's ironic that despite the witch's warnings about your protection, she couldn't resist the temptation to dig deeper. Desperation mixed with curiosity pushed her to take one more step, a step that might be her last wrong move. Despite everything she was told, she couldn't stop that urge. The witch had been clear. She needed a ritual, something she thought could be her last resort. She asked for a black hen, something symbolic, and a photo of you. At first it didn't seem so serious, but she had no idea what she was about to unleash. Without thinking twice, the woman started searching for you on social media, hoping to find something useful. She knew she had to find something personal, something she could use as a tool in the ritual. After a while of searching, she found the perfect image. With the photo in hand and the hen ready, she hurried to bring everything to the witch, convinced that with this ritual she would gain the power she so desired. She couldn't see beyond her envy and desperation. She was blinded by the fear of losing what she felt was hers, not understanding there was something much stronger than her. Without questioning it, she did what they asked, unaware she was touching forces she could never have imagined. What she didn't understand was that the dark energies she was playing with, especially against someone like you, with such strong protection, were like wielding a double-edged sword. She was playing with fire without knowing it. And the worst part was that by doing so, she was ensuring that the consequences would be even greater and more painful than she anticipated. The witch had prepared everything meticulously. She lit several brightly colored candles that illuminated the dark room, creating a tense and mysterious atmosphere. She carefully arranged herbs in small piles around an improvised altar, and as she recited words in an ancient language, almost like a whisper, the candle flames danced, casting a dim light that filled the room with a heavy air. She held your photo in her hands, her eyes fixed on it, as if trying to penetrate your being through the image. The black hen was at the center of the altar, and the witch kept murmuring her spells. Everything seemed to be going according to plan. Everything seemed to flow almost perfectly, as if the ritual was taking shape, as if she could finally get what she wanted. But at one moment, the witch stopped. Not only did she stop her invocation, but there was a visible change in her expression. She looked at the photo with a seriousness she had never shown before, as if something had completely unsettled her. Her usually impassive face now reflected doubt. She looked at the woman who had hired her for the job, and with a penetrating gaze, told her that something strange was happening. Her voice, usually confident and firm, now had a tone of uncertainty. She said there was something weird about the energy coming from that photo. No matter how much she tried to continue the ritual, something was blocking it. It was as if an invisible force was erecting a wall between them and their target. Something they could not cross. The woman who had been watching everything with great hope was left completely frozen. She didn't understand what was happening. The witch had followed every instruction to the letter, had completed every step precisely. But despite her efforts, the ritual was not flowing as it should. Instead of feeling the dark energy advancing, she felt resistance like never before. Visibly worried, the witch began to explain with a grave and serious voice that the force surrounding you was so powerful that even dark energies couldn't penetrate it. As she said this, the woman felt a chill run down her spine. How could something as simple as a ritual fail to break through that barrier? The witch confessed that your protection was so intense that no magic, no matter how dark, could reach you. It was as if an invisible layer wrapped around you, a protection so strong that even bad intentions couldn't get to you. This left the woman speechless. She couldn't understand how something so simple could fail. She had hired the witch hoping everything would go according to plan, but now she found herself in the middle of chaos, overwhelmed by the fear she felt. It began to grow, and uncertainty invaded her mind. If she couldn't break that barrier she needed to break now, should she give up? The woman no longer knew if she should continue with the ritual, or if it was better to abandon the idea. Fear took hold of her, and doubt started to run through her soul. She felt that something much greater than witchcraft was protecting you, something she couldn't understand. The witch, observing her client's confusion, explained that what was happening was not normal. There are people with such strong protection that any attempt to harm them simply wouldn't work. In fact, the witch warned her that in some cases, when one cannot penetrate that protective barrier, the harm intended returns with even greater force, and that return could be devastating. Despite the witch's words, the woman didn't understand what was happening. She was nervous, confused, and scared. She had gone so far in her attempt to get what she wanted, and now it seemed everything was slipping through her fingers. The witch, with a serious and almost fearful look, warned her even more emphatically. Be careful, because if the harm doesn't get through, the blow could come back to you or someone close to you. The witch's words echoed through the room, filled with an uncomfortable truth. Upon hearing the warning, the woman felt as if the air had grown even heavier. Fear completely overwhelmed her, and for a moment she doubted whether she had chosen the right path. The witch insisted that it was useless to keep trying that way, that the protection of that person was so strong that any attempt to hurt them would only end in disaster for herself. The atmosphere in the room began to grow even, denser. The candles that had once burned steadily now flickered strangely, as if an invisible presence was destabilizing them. The light they emitted became unstable, oscillating in an erratic dance. The room grew colder, and a chill ran through the woman's body. The air was so tense it could almost be cut with a knife. Something in the environment, something she couldn't see, had been disturbed. The witch, visibly annoyed and worried, told the woman that this was not normal, that she had never experienced anything like this before. She explained that the protection of certain people is so strong that even dark energies cannot penetrate. Worse still, any attempt to harm them could return with such force that it would end up affecting the one who sent it. This made the woman even more nervous. Fear took over her, and she began to question whether she really wanted to continue down that path. While the witch tried unsuccessfully to continue with the ritual, the tension in the air increased. The woman started to realize she had made a mistake, that she might have taken a path far more dangerous than she imagined. Every word the witch spoke seemed to carry the weight of the consequences of her actions. As the witch invoked more energies to try to break the barrier raised by that person's protection, something strange happened. A chill ran down the witch's spine, as if she was touching something she shouldn't, a feeling of discomfort she had never experienced before. The energy in the room grew even more tense, almost unbearable. As the witch persisted in her attempts, the effects became more tangible. The candles flickered more violently, and the air grew so heavy, it felt like the room was about to collapse. Seeing all this, the woman began to feel she was involved in something much bigger than herself, that the consequences of her actions could be far more serious than she imagined. What had seemed like a ritual to harm someone ended up being a painful lesson for her. The witch, seeing she could not break the protective barrier, decided to stop and warned the woman that it was best to step away from that path before the consequences became even more serious. When the witch gave her that warning, it hit her like a bucket of cold water, but it was already too late to turn back. The ritual had already been performed, and although her attempt to harm you had no effect on you, something inside her began to fall apart. At first, she thought everything had gone well, that she had gotten what she wanted. But in the end, what began as an act of manipulation and control became a personal nightmare for her. From that night on, everything began to change for the worse. At first, it was subtle, almost imperceptible, but quickly the strange sensations became impossible to ignore. The woman who once felt so confident began to feel as if she was being consumed by a force she didn't understand. Suddenly, the nights were no longer peaceful. Terrifying nightmares woke her in the middle of the night, sweating and with her heart racing. She dreamed of dark figures stalking her, with scenes so vivid that upon waking, she felt the same fear. But what troubled her the most was not the dreams, but the feeling that something or someone was chasing her at every moment, that she was never alone. In her mind, she could feel that strange, invisible presence that seemed to follow her everywhere. It was as if her actions had opened a door to something much bigger, something she could not control.